Have you ever stopped and wondered, what if objects around us had their own stories to tell? What if those objects wasn't just tools or props, but active players shaping our lives in ways that we can't really notice? J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings give us a glimpse of this idea, and it's absolutely fascinating. In Tolkien's words in Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, objects they aren't just things. They are kind of alive. Think about the One Ring, for example. The One Ring doesn't just sit there on Frodo's neck, waiting to be used. The ring kind of has an agency of its own. It corrupts others, it manipulates, and even chooses when and how to act. That, my friends, is not just clever storytelling, it's a philosophy in action. This perspective of the agency of objects stems from something called object oriented ontology, or OOO. Object oriented ontology, if you are subscribed here, then you already know a little bit, but it's a fascinating and weird way of looking at the world. Object oriented ontology states that objects, whether they are rings, swords, or even landscapes, well, they exist in their own right, independent of what humans think or want from them. In other words, these objects they have agency, they have influence over the world, and they have a true essence that remains hidden from us. In The Lord of the Rings, I say that Lord of the Rings is clearly in line with this ideology because it's not just the ring. You see, there are many other examples in the story that corroborate this point. To all of the Lord of the Rings fans out there, I just want to say this, that I might mess up the pronunciations. Let me say that in my head, I think of all those terms I will give next in Portuguese. So imagine how hard it is trying to switch them into English right now. So let's just say it's going to be an adventure of its own. So please bear with me a little bit. Continuing, it's not just the ring that aligns Lord of the Rings with object-oriented ontology. There's, for example, Anduril, the the reforged sword from the shards of Narsil. That sword, the sword of Aragorn, is not just a weapon for Aragorn, it's also a symbol of his destiny, a beacon of hope for humans in the story, and a reminder of ancient and traditional power. Another very nice and funny example is the lembas bread. The lembas bread isn't just food, but something that sustains both body and spirit, giving strength when all seems lost. If you think about it, even Sting, the sword of Bilbo and Frodo, it has a personality. It shines when orcs are near. It has its own agency in some way. The ants, the forest, there are many other examples that I could keep giving you in this video, but I want to come to a point right now because I respect your time and I don't want to take much more than 5 minutes of your time each video, okay? The point I'm trying to bring here with this video is that through this lens, The Lord of the Rings is a story that it is about good and evil, about heroes and villains, about good and bad, but it's also about a deeply interconnected world, where even the smallest objects, like a ring, for example, exerts the immense power and influence over people. Seeing The Lord of the Rings through this lens, we can see that Tolkien is kind of inviting us to see the material world differently, to recognize that everything, animate or inanimate, has a role to play in the grand weave of existence. If this idea sparked your curiosity, I invite you to go to my blog, thebrazilianmud.wordpress.com. There I explore in more detail how object-oriented ontology can transform the way we see the middle world and maybe even our own world. You know, I did a video here talking about Adventure Time and it went pretty well. Now I'm doing this about Lord of the Rings. Because I already have this text, I wrote it last year. I invite you to go read it. I'll leave the link to the text, complete text here in the description, because the examples go way beyond those that I just cited on this video, okay? And my objective here is to invite you to leave YouTube and start doing something else, you know? Maybe mainly reading my blog, because I am a writer, I'm trying to cultivate an audience. So if you're interested in this subject, please go to my blog, thebrazilianmutt.wordpress. There you will see that I wrote many other texts about object-oriented ontology. I talked about how Toy Story is a movie about that. This week I will be publishing a text. I think it's Tuesday. I'll be publishing a text about how Inside Out, it's about uses object-oriented ontology, and I ask you to go to my blog and give it a read. I talk about a lot of things about the top. I talk about recently I talked about an ethics oriented by objects and many other subjects, you know. So that's it. I want to say thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends who also like philosophy and all of those weird subjects, and we'll see each other in the next video. Thank you for watching, and kisses and hugs from your friend in Brazil. Vai Corinthians!